Steve Jobs was born in 1955 in San Francisco, but his biological parents gave him up for adoption. He was raised by Paul and Clara Jobs, a humble couple with limited money. From a young age, Steve was curious about electronics. He spent hours in his father's garage, learning how machines worked, but he was never interested in traditional education. In college, he struggled to find meaning in his studies. After just 6 months, he dropped out. People thought he had made a huge mistake, but Steve didn't stop learning. He just chose a different path, a crazy idea in a garage. In 1976, Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak started working in a small garage. Their dream? To build a personal computer that anyone could use. At that time, computers were huge, expensive, and only used by big companies. But Steve had a vision. He wanted computers to be simple and personal, something everyone could have in their home. With almost no money, the two young men built the first Apple computer, the Apple I. They took a big risk. They invested everything they had into their new company. Everyone thought they were crazy, but Steve didn't listen because he believed in his dream. Apple's rise to success. By 1984, Apple was one of the fastest growing companies in the world. Steve Jobs introduced the Macintosh, the first computer with a mouse and a graphical interface. It was revolutionary, but Steve was not just a businessman, he was an artist. He didn't just want a powerful computer. He wanted it to be beautiful, simple, and easy to use. His vision made Apple different. People didn't just buy Apple products, they loved them. But success doesn't last forever. And for Steve, the biggest challenge was yet to come. Scene 4, the biggest failure, getting fired from Apple. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he had built with his own hands. The board of directors thought he was too difficult to work with. They believed Apple didn't need him anymore. For Steve, it was a painful betrayal. He had lost everything. He was humiliated, heartbroken, and lost. But instead of giving up, he saw this failure as a new opportunity. Sometimes life will hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. Steve Jobs. During this time, he started 2 new companies, Next and Pixar. Pixar went on to create Toy Story, the world's first computer-animated movie, changing the film industry forever. Meanwhile, Apple was struggling without Steve. And in 1997, something unexpected happened. Apple asked Steve to come back. Apple's greatest innovations. Steve Jobs returned to Apple with one goal: to save it from bankruptcy. His first decision? He simplified Apple's products. He focused on innovation and thinking differently. Then came 2001, the launch of the iPod, a small device that could hold 1,000 songs in your pocket. It changed the music industry forever. In 2007, he introduced the iPhone, a product that revolutionized the way people communicate. It combined a phone, an iPod, and the internet in one device. And in 2010, Apple launched the iPad, creating an entirely new category of technology. Steve Jobs wasn't just making products, he was changing the way people lived. Scene 6, the final chapter, a legacy that lives on. In 2011, Steve Jobs lost his battle with cancer. The world lost a visionary, but his ideas still inspire millions. His story teaches us 3 important lessons. 1. Follow your passion. Steve never built products just to make money. He built them because he believed in them. 2. Embrace failure. Even after being fired, he didn't give up. He came back stronger. 3. Think differently. He never followed trends. He created them. Conclusion. What can we learn from Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." His journey was not easy. He faced rejection, failure, and even death. But through it all, he never stopped believing in his vision. Today, Apple products are in millions of hands. But the true legacy of Steve Jobs is not just in technology, it's in the mindset of innovation, perseverance, and thinking big. If he could change the world, so can you.